I don't want to be overly dramatic, but I think I will use the word doomed in the long term.
There's good reason to believe that we are looking at a potential collapse of confidence in the U.S. dollar and indeed the entire international monetary system. The international monetary system is based on the dollar, so if the dollar goes, the system goes.
So I believe the Fed is going to pivot to prevent that massive financial crisis. And so what we're going to get is a sovereign debt crisis and a U.S. dollar crisis. So it's going to take the form of a crashing dollar. And so the people who are going to lose money are not the people that are just holding subprime mortgages, but the people who are holding U.S. Treasury bonds or any bonds denominated in U.S. dollars, or even people that have U.S. dollars stuffed under their mattress.
For foreign economies, the wide use of the dollar allows borrowers to have access to a broad pool of lenders and investors.
According to the International Monetary Fund, nearly $7 trillion US dollars are held by 149 countries.
Investors like the dollar because it's stable. They know that you have a country where there's a central bank that has stepped in to shore up markets and intervenes in the economy at whatever cost to make sure it doesn't crash.
Because so many countries rely on the dollar for trade and various transactions, that means there's always demand for it, which makes it more valuable.
In 2019, some 88% of international transactions involved US dollars. No other currencies came close. That gives the US extraordinary power over nearly anyone who imports or exports anything anywhere. Commodities like oil, gold, and coffee are all priced in dollars, regardless of where they come from.
When you think about what's required to have the world's reserve currency, it needs to be freely convertible. China's currency is not. They have capital controls. You need an independent central bank. You need large and liquid debt markets. Europe certainly is a large economy, but their debt markets are somewhat fragmented because it's a combination of different countries. And so you put that all together, and right now there's no kind of present currency alternative. I don't know what the future of crypto is, but it was certainly nowhere close, I would say, in the evolution of that to even think about it, taking the place of the US dollar.
This is why I think a dollar collapse actually is quite unlikely, because the implications of a dollar collapse are that you would have a real search for safety, and the only really safe place to put lots of money remains the US.
While the pandemic did cause volatility in the price of the dollar, its value today hasn't seen much decline compared to prices before the pandemic.
And, the reason the dollar is strengthening, comes from multiple sources. The first is anytime you have uncertainty and geopolitical risks and macroeconomic uncertainty around the world, the dollar benefits as safe haven status. So that's one. The second is the Fed's been much more aggressive in hiking rates than its peer banks, whether it's the ECB or the Bank of Japan. So that's, again, strengthening the dollar. And then third, of course, you referenced the pound, where there's sort of idiosyncratic reasons for that particular currency to be very volatile in the last couple of days. So very, very many different reasons.
You're looking at a market today that has produced $100 for every dollar. All you was had to believe in America, just buy a cross-section of America. You didn't have to read the Wall Street Journal. You didn't have to look up the price of your stock. You didn't have to pay a lot of money in fees to anybody. You just had to believe that the America was intact.
I don't know how else better to say it, but this is a dollar story and will remain a dollar story for some time.